Good afternoon. I'm Jody Leatherberry. I'm a commercial hot air balloon pilot. Guess I got to say that I'm a dad too, and a husband. Getting up in the morning, we always fly at sunrise or sunset, and whether I have a passenger I'm taking, or it could be just a friend as a fun flight, or I do commercial training. So I've got a few students out there in the world that I've taught, and to them I'm known as the Granddad. You know, you got to balance everything. You got to balance life. You got to balance your whole passions. And hot air ballooning is a passion of mine. I've been flying since 1985, and I've got a number of flights, a number of experiences that are very vivid memories. It's a passion that takes you all over. It can take you to far reaches of the country or far reaches of your county. Well, that's kind of a unique situation. As prior to my real estate career, my father and I were car dealers, Ford dealers in Stockbridge, and my dad had a 20th anniversary. He said, "What are we going to do for a celebration?" And I said, "Hey, Dad, let's get hot dogs and a circus clown, and let's have a hot air balloon come and do tethered rides." And we did so, and ended up registering about 1,000 people. And when the guy was done, he came up to me and said, "Hey, here's your bill." And I said, "Wow, that's expensive." And he says, "But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you a flight." And I said, "Okay, that sounds like a deal." October 13th of 1984 that I took my first flight. And I told the pilot, I said, "Hey, my dad has a farm out here. I'd like to land at the farm." And he laughed at me. He says, "The likelihood of that happening is slim to none." And I said, "Well, okay, fine, I understand." He said, "I don't have a steering wheel." I said, "But okay, we're heading that way." And 15, 20 minutes into the flight, all of a sudden, he says, "There's a nice field over there." And I said, "Well, that's my dad's hayfield." And we landed at my father's farm. So that really hooked me. And at that point, it was, just forward, go. And by the following November, I had a balloon. In the balloon world, it's the first ride is for fun. The third ride is you're hooked. So the gentleman that did our tether, he was a commercial pilot, and he gave me lessons. And basically what you have to do is you have to have 10 hours of flight training, and then a flight with a FAA examiner proving that you're competent and capable of handling all the attributes of situations that you could get put into. The technology has changed as far as our tracking equipment, our variometers, our temperature gauges, those types of things. Of course, the burners that we heat the air with, the technology has increased where they're more efficient, they're more powerful. The fabric is more long-lasting. But the greatest technology improvement has been the tracking, the mapping, the GPS, the weather forecasting, weather information that we can find that we're more confident that the winds are going to do this. We fly kind of in micro weather. We may fly here in Lansing, but maybe 150 miles away, there's maybe some rain. But we have possibilities of flying in that micro area because we have a short window of flight time. We fly 1 hour, 2 hours after sunrise, or 2 hours before sunset. And that's our typical flight time. I think the biggest experience I had was I had the opportunity to take an astronaut for a flight. And we were in Traverse City area, flying across the bay. And he looked at me and was just enamored by the equipment and so forth. And he said, can I pull the lever? And I said, "Goodness, you've been in you're an astronaut. Sure, you can pull the lever. I'm sure you're qualified." But that just speaks to the fact that all walks of life, everyone is interested and intrigued by how it works. And it's so simple. It's heating air inside a envelope that is contained to a basket that you are in, and you're able to go up and you can come down, and you go with the wind. We cannot turn to the left, we cannot turn to the right, we go with the wind. So if the wind takes us to the northeast, we're going to the northeast. And I think that's the allure, is that, you know, we have a good idea where we're going, but for sure, you know, we're not 100% positive, because Mother Nature can change our direction at any time. My sons, two sons, have both crewed for me and co-piloted with me. My daughters, likewise. My youngest daughter is 20, and she has her student certificate and has a desire to gain her private certificate. So definitely a family-oriented program. Our daughters grew up through ballooning on the weekends and different events, and they have great memories of all that. And then the balloon community has a great camaraderie as far as someone needs some help, you know, they go over and they give them a hand. I think the takeaway is, if someone has a passion about whatever it is that they have that passion about, is follow it. You know, the old adage, follow your dream, and you know, things can happen, things can come true. When I go around and do the REMAX school balloon programs, is I give a story about two little guys that took a flight with me one time, and both those guys are now commercial pilots. And when they took the flight, they were maybe 9 and 12, two brothers from Howell, and they were of a very young age when they took the flight with me, and they jumped out of the basket and ran up to their mom and dad, and they said, "Mom, Dad, guess what? We're gonna be balloon pilots." Well, they were 9 and 12. Of course, they had a dream, they had a vision, right? And they stuck with it, and now they have children of that same age, and they are now passing on the torch. So that's what I want people to walk away with, is that, you know, if you have that dream, if you have that desire, is stay with it and continue that. But by all the flights I've taken, my best flights have been the ones that have been someone I've pulled from a crowd. Okay, serendipity, you know what I mean? That is, you know, most people are scared to death. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to that damn thing. And I tell them, you know, well, I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah.
And they say, what? And then I cuts the ice, and then they're like nervous. They don't want to get in, and the balloon is inflated. And I say, come on, let's go. You know, and you know, they get in, and all of a sudden I'm lifting off, and they don't realize it. And then holy cow, you know.